Wow, I have gotten so many requests to do a review on this one. A lot of you find it inconceivable that I haven't touched this movie yet. Well guys, I only have one way to respond to that. You keep using that word. I do not think you means what you think it means. What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're looking at one of my all-time favorite movies, cult classic The Princess Bride, directed by Reiner right at the peak of his prime, right when he started getting on a roll, coming out with hit after hit after hit. This is a fairy tale adventure about a beautiful young woman named Princess Buttercup and her one true love, Wesley. He must find her after a long separation and save her. But first, they must battle the evils of the mythical kingdom of Florin, led by the evil Prince Humperdinck, in order to be reunited with one another till death do they part. Now, this movie is also based on a 1973 novel of the same name written by William Goldman, who also wrote the screenplay for this movie. Should be playing to its advantage here. And before I get any further into this review, I want to thank you all so much for stopping by and clicking on this video. I hope you guys enjoy your stay. If any of you guys are new here, please consider hitting that subscribe button down below as hard as you possibly can so you don't miss any of my future updates. As you all know, I love discussing the cinema and all things entertainment with you guys. And if you enjoyed the video, please be sure to leave a big fat thumbs up on it by the end. And just in case, if any of you have never seen this movie, which, if that's the case, how dare you, but this review is going to be filled with spoilers. The movie's 30 years old. I've warned you. Now, this film is actually presented as the grandfather reads his sick grandson the novel, and it's almost as if he's reading the book to the entire audience. Now, you'll notice the kid often cuts him off when the sports stuff isn't present, or when he hears something in the story he doesn't like, and it provides some pretty funny commentary along the way. And that's just one of the many things that Reiner just gets right with this movie. The Princess Bride is honestly one of the most fun things you'll ever sit through. And there are so many reasons why I consider this one to be one of my all-time favorites. I absolutely adore The Princess Bride. Perhaps the biggest praise that I can give The Princess Bride is that it gets the tone just right. It can be extremely tempting to go serious with this style of storytelling. It can be very tempting to go serious with the time period that they're in, a very regal castle setting. But every time you think the movie's gonna go serious, it plays it for comedy. And I love that about The Princess Bride. Even with these side characters, I mean, no one's ever going to forget the albino in the pit of despair, or even the impressive clergyman at the wedding. Marriage. Marriage is what brings us together today. God. That's another thing. This movie is just so damn quotable. Lauren and I will often banter back and forth with lines from The Princess Bride, because there's just so many memorable lines in here. I mean, just... oh, man, wow. Wow. Let's talk about these performances, starting with the leading performance of Robin Wright as Princess Buttercup. She is absolutely phenomenal here. Buttercup is extremely strong as a character. She is not your usual princess. No, no, no. You see her going through the fire swamp with Wesley. She stands her ground many times against Prince Humperdinck. And yeah, she needs saving, but she is not a typical princess. A very strong leading performance. Cary Elwes as Wesley. Man, what a performance this was. He is just so charming and likable in this movie, and even though he appears strong for the majority of the movie, it always finds a way to stack the odds against him. Woohoo! Look who seems to know everything. Well, it seems that your friend here is only mostly dead. Billy Crystal as Miracle Max. Yes. Yes! Even though his appearance is very brief in this film, he's just so memorable and so fantastic. As you can tell, I could probably quote that entire Miracle Max scene word for word every time that comes on. But of course, you guys know that Wesley would not be put in that position to be transferred over to Miracle Max thanks to Inigo and Fezzik without the movie, you know, just hammering down on him, trying to stack the odds against him. And there is no better way in stacking the odds against a hero in medieval times than torturing them half to death. How about that 20/20 machine, as I call it now, that Christopher Guest as Count Rugen, the six-fingered man, uses against Wesley? Literally 1 year at a time is sucked out of him. That's torture. And while I'm on the subject of villains, Christopher Guest is really strong as Tyrone Rugen, and also Chris Sarandon as Prince Humperdinck, which, by the way, I'm convinced is the greatest name ever for a prince. This guy is just such a snot-nosed little ass in this movie. So slimy and just so brilliant. Now, speaking of slimy little shitheads, let's talk about Wallace Shawn and what has to be his crowning role as Vizzini. He didn't fall? Inconceivable. God, how awesome is Vizzini in this film? Of course, he's only in the first half of the movie or so, mostly on the beautifully shot Cliffs of Insanity. But again, just so memorable. How about the Battle of Wits? It's gotta be one of the most memorable scenes in cinema history. It's so well written, so amazingly directed by Rob Reiner, and it's so crisply edited too, just like the rest of the movie. Just fantastic filmmaking. Never go in against a Sicilian when death is on the line! Actually, Wesley pretty much running that whole gauntlet on the cliffs in the first act of this movie, or going into the second rather, that might be my favorite part of this entire film. That is the true definition of fun. And who happens to be the first guy he runs into on that gauntlet? Mandy Patinkin as Inigo Montoya. Easily one of my favorite performances ever. How amazing is this guy? I'll admit, when I first watched The Princess Bride, I really thought I was gonna hate Inigo. I thought he was just another villain in a movie oversaturated with him. But no, we all end up rooting for this guy. He's hell-bent on vengeance for the murder of his father by Count Rugen, the six-fingered man. And we all want him to get it. I do not mean to pry, but you, by chance, do not happen to have 6 fingers on your right hand? Do you always begin conversations this way? Again, just so well written here. And also, I gotta talk about the dueling, the fencing in this. Really, really cool. Great fight choreography. But it's very tempting, aside from that grand brass score, which is really cool. It's really tempting to have these characters screaming at each other. But go back and watch that duel between Inigo and Wesley. They are talking as if they're having drinks or something. They're just casually talking to each other as they're fencing, almost as if they're at a coffee shop. It's just so funny every time I watch it. And of course, you guys all know Inigo's iconic line, which I dare not repeat right now. But once he does encounter Count Rugen as our trio of heroes storm the castle during a really fun climax, Mandy Patinkin is so great towards the end of this film. I noticed on my rewatch especially that he gets to play around a lot with the subtext of that famous "Hello, my name is Inigo Montoya, you killed my father" line. Go watch that second half of his duel with Count Rugen again. He says that one line very differently every single time, even though it's the same exact words. Subtext key here. Patinkin nailed it. And last but certainly not least, as a professional wrestling fan, I gotta talk about Fezzik, played by the late Andre the Giant. May he rest in peace. This was such an endearing performance, and again, you think Fezzik is just gonna be another villain when you meet him, but we all end up rooting for him because all he wants is a fair world like God intended. Sportsman-like. It's so simple, but it works. I mean, obviously, everything about The Princess Bride clicks on all cylinders. A lot of people like Fred Savage as the grandson in this movie may complain that Humperdinck does not get killed at the end. But that's the thing, Wesley was not about killing Humperdinck. It was all about to the pain and humiliation for Humperdinck for everything he's done building up to that point. I find Wesley very similar to Bruce Wayne in a lot of facets. Now, hear me out on this one. It always seems like he's one step away from being an evildoer himself. Because even in the movie, it's revealed in the Fire Swamp that he is another incarnation of the dread pirate Roberts. And that name itself just screams villain. It always feels like Wesley is one step away from turning to the dark side at any moment. But he never kills anyone unless he's outsmarting Vizzini in the Battle of Wits. That's why running the gauntlet, he doesn't kill Inigo or Fezzik. And that's why he doesn't kill Humperdinck at the end. It's all about teaching them a lesson rather than just straight up killing them. Guys, obviously, I adore The Princess Bride. It's one of the most fun films ever made. I am so happy to see the cult following that it's gained since its home release back in 1987. Naturally, it gets my stamp of recommendation, and I'm gonna give The Princess Bride its well-earned highest grade of an A+. If you've never seen this film before, or you may be hesitant about seeing this movie like I was the first time because of the title, I think you guys are really gonna dig The Princess Bride like I do. just go watch it. It's so amazing. But have you guys seen The Princess Bride? What do you guys think of it, and what are your favorite moments in the movie? I'd like to hear all of your thoughts and discuss them with you all down in the comment section below. As you guys know, I love talking cinema and all things entertainment with you guys, and as you guys can tell, I do take requests for retro reviews, so feel free to fire off those requests in the comments as well. And once again, if you guys love discussing cinema and all things entertainment, please once again consider hitting that subscribe button down below as hard as you possibly can. And if you enjoyed the video, please be sure to leave a big fat thumbs up on it on your way out. Guys, thank you all so much for your support of the channel so far. I truly appreciate you clicking on the video and watching it. Look forward to more fun content coming to the channel very soon. And with all that being said, back talk, commence.